Time for our Sunrise Smart Start. No injuries reported after a fire in Ogden overnight.
Multiple fire departments responding to this scene around midnight. Smoke could be seen coming from the first and second floor of the house. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
Two men sent to the hospital after a double shooting at Ontario Beach Park. Police responded to that park with a report of shots fired around 11 o'clock last night. At that time, two men, an 18-year-old and 23-year-old, were dropped off at the hospital with gunshot wounds. Police say the injuries are non-life-threatening. There are no suspects in custody.
Well, police also investigating a double shooting that happened on Pardee Street in Rochester. Around 11:30 p.m., officers responding to that area for reports of shots fired. Police say at the time, two victims, 23 and 25 years old, were dropped off at the hospital with what are described as non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. The investigation revealed those injuries came from that shooting on Pardee Street. No suspects are in custody. If you have any information, call 911.
A 7-year-old girl injured after being hit by a car as part of a hit and run. It happened on Frost Avenue in Rochester just after 6:30 last night. Police say the child ran into the road and was hit by a dark-colored four-door sedan. The car then left that area before police arrived. The 7-year-old taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Anyone who may have seen what happened or seen that car is asked to call 911.
Officials say a 2-year-old girl is seriously injured after a one-car crash yesterday afternoon. Police say the driver of the car struck a bridge support at Hudson Avenue and Nassau Street in Rochester. We're told the child is in critical condition this morning. The driver, a 33-year-old woman, was not seriously injured, according to officials, and the cause of the crash is still under investigation.
Now to the latest on COVID-19. Brighton schools will remain hybrid for the remainder of this school year. The district did make that announcement over the weekend. Just days ago, district officials said they were hoping to fully reopen grades 6 through 12 at some point this academic year. Now they say the current 7-day rolling average of COVID-19 cases in Monroe County, which stands at 133, is too high to safely do so.
It was the first festival in Monroe County in almost 2 years. Organizers of the Lilac Festival calling it a major success.
Eriquetta Costa live at Highland Park with more on how everything went. Eriquetta, good morning.
Good morning, Mark. And when we talked to festival producer Jeff Springett 3 weeks ago, there were a lot of nerves, but now catching up with him over the weekend, he says everything went smoothly. Him and other organizers learned a lot from the process, and they're just happy they were able to allow people to get out of the house and have some fun safely. For the first time in history, some changing COVID-19 guidelines came out of the blue in the middle of the festival run. Springett says rules could change as often as every 2 days. Tables of 4 became tables of 6, and rules for masking became less strict. But crowds were still maintained through social distancing and sitting down for food instead of lining up. We're told there's no definitive crowd count this year, but upwards of 20,000 attended last Saturday alone.
All socially distanced with a cap on the number of people that was prescribed by the health department. The crowds in general have been almost the same, with the exception of the area in front of the stage where we normally have the bands, because there weren't any bands, and that turned out to be a real nice picnic area.
And the new format for 9 days spread out over 3 consecutive weekends worked great. He says we'll likely see that again next year. In Rochester, Eriquetta Costa, News 8.
All right, we'll look for that. Eriquetta, thank you. Organizers add they did draw some inspiration from other cities which had hosted festivals during the pandemic.
Well, so many people were out and about over the weekend because it was just another beautiful one. And we're starting out in the 50s this morning, James.
That's right. 50s, pretty comfortable, partly cloudy. We've got dry roads, which is always nice on this Monday. It makes Monday just a little bit easier. And we'll call it filtered sun this morning. We do have some clouds around, but those should clear out as we get into the afternoon. And we climb into the lower 70s. So a decent day today, but we're warm overnight ahead of the chance for a few storms as we get into both Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll take a look at the 8-day forecast and have a bus stop forecast for you to wrap up the show. Mark, Leo.
All right, James, thank you. Time now for another check of the roads this morning. Hey, been quiet so far, and that's good news as well. Our sunrise traffic, a live look over downtown Rochester. You see everything moving along nicely along 490 there, 390 and 590 running on time as well at this hour. To our Family First segment on this Monday, doctors say 1 in 5 children will suffer a bone fracture, and they're most likely to happen in warmer weather.
Dr. Chris Cook from UR Medicine says this is the time of year that he sees many different injuries from outdoor activities, including sports, falling from a jungle gym, bikes, scooters, trampolines, ATVs, and lawnmower accidents.
I had one patient one time who was on top of a hill, and grandfather was on a riding lawnmower at the bottom of the hill and thought everything was safe. The child slipped and slid right into the riding lawnmower. Things like ATVs, likely anybody less than 10 probably shouldn't be on an ATV. And then between 10 and 16, there's some guidelines there in terms of size and mental capacity to understand how to control it and make appropriate decisions quickly.
He says one of the best ways to help prevent injury, making sure that you're watching your children very closely. There are a number of New York State guidelines when it comes to the outdoor activities that we mentioned. And for more information on safety tips, head to rochesterfirst.com. Republicans and the White House hitting another roadblock when it comes to an infrastructure deal.
That's right. The White House lowering the price tag to $1.7 trillion. Republicans say it's still too high. Washington correspondent Kelly Meyer has more.
Good morning. Well, senators return here this week and will continue negotiations, but the two sides are growing further apart, and it's becoming more likely that Democrats could go this alone.
President Joe Biden is looking for a bridge to bipartisanship on his infrastructure plan.
Well, I think the president coming down $550 billion off of his initial proposal, I think shows the willingness to negotiate in good faith, and in a serious manner.
On Friday, the White House dropped the price of the plan from $2.25 trillion to $1.7 trillion to get more GOP lawmakers on board. Republicans rejected the offer.
The number is too big because the scope of what the White House staff wants to call infrastructure is way too big.
Right now, Republicans are suggesting a nearly $600 billion counteroffer, focusing on what they believe represents infrastructure, funding for roads, bridges, and broadband. President Biden's new slimmed-down proposal meets GOP lawmakers on broadband spending, but the next 10 days will show if the new pitch will work.
This will determine whether or not we can work together.
There's discussion of splitting the package into two, but if the two sides can't find common ground, Democrats are prepared to pass it on their own.
If they're not coming forward, we've got to go forward alone.
President Biden has said that he wants this package to be bipartisan, and Republicans say their discussions with the president have been positive. But whether that will lead to a compromise, we'll have to watch this week and see. Reporting here in Washington, I'm Kelly Meyer.
All right, Kelly, thank you. According to the White House, the president's plan will modernize 20,000 miles of highways, roads, and main streets across the U.S.
Let's get a look at the GRE Morning Business Report now. The White House is targeting tax evaders with a new plan. Under President Biden's new tax enforcement plan, the IRS would widen its payroll by almost 87,000 workers. The added manpower would bolster efforts to go after wealthy Americans and corporations which may not be dodging or doing their part in terms of paying taxes. The Treasury Department says underreported income is the biggest contributor to taxing shortfalls.
Pfizer and BioNTech say they will offer 2 billion lower-cost doses of their COVID-19 vaccine to poor countries over the next 2 years. The commitment comes after some wealthy countries were criticized for not making vaccine equity a priority.
All right, no doubt about this. Lots of folks will be talking about Phil Mickelson's big win yesterday at the PGA at the old water cooler this morning. Mickelson becoming the oldest golfer to ever win a golfing major at 50 years old. How about the old guys there, huh? He shot a 6-under par score to win the championship Sunday, his 6th major title. And it was high drama at Kiowa Island.
Yeah.
Once you tuned in, you could not tune out. And that scene around the green on 18 was incredible.
He's 50, you said, right?
Yeah, big 5-0.
Yeah.
I was a little intimidated.
It's not old, but in the world of sports.
In the world of sports, you're right.
Yeah.
Did you hit the golf course this weekend, Mark?
I did. I didn't hit it quite as well as Phil.
No.
Not quite.
But he's inspiring a lot of folks to get out on the course.
He is, man. Yeah, that sand trap shot on 2, holding it from 50 feet away. That was amazing to see. If you are maybe getting on the bus stop this afternoon, it should be pretty decent, I think, both to start and to finish. We'll finish off around the lower 70s. Maybe a great day for a round of golf. But watch out for both tomorrow and Wednesday. Showers, thunderstorms in there. Temperatures climb, though. We're talking hot and humid both Tuesday and Wednesday, mid to upper 80s, and we cool back down Thursday, Friday into the 60s there, overnight lows into the 40s. So maybe a bit of a chilly weekend for you, but we'll be talking about it all week long.
Yeah, kind of all over the place there. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for watching News 8 at Sunrise.
Our next update coming up in about 30 minutes. CBS This Morning is up next. Be safe and have a great Monday.
Follow News 8 wherever you are on RochesterFirst.com, Facebook, Twitter, and on our app for news and weather.